Hello, Mingalaba. My name is Verinda, but my Buddhist name is Bodhipali, which means keeper of wisdom. Welcome to the Dhammacakkapavattana Sutta Chanting special program. I will be your presenter for part 1 of today's program. Today is extra special because we will chant the entire Dhammacakkapavattana Sutta and have a fun question and answer session about it. Today is January 12, 2025, Buddha Sazana year 2568, and we meet every Sunday at 4 p.m. Arizona and Pacific time. If you'd like to learn more about Buddhism, you can join us on Zoom. Just use the Zoom ID 413-460-4622 and the password Buddha20 all lowercase. The Zoom ID and password are the same every week. In part 1, we'll chant the entire Dhammacakkapavattana Sutta, followed by a fun question and answer session where we can learn more about the sutta together. Please make sure to participate with respect and care. We're so glad you're here. In this part, the Zinjal will be acting as the substitute student. The Zinjal, please have your program paper 1 and 2 ready with the correct pages. Also, could you please help me read through some rules and regulations before we start the program?
Hello, Manglaba. My name is the Zinjo, but my Buddhist name is Jana Bali, which means power of concentration. Here are some important rules and regulations. Please do not eat or drink during the prayer time, as it is very disrespectful. If you're hungry, make sure to eat before joining the meeting next time. Sit up straight and center yourself in front of your camera. Keep your camera on at all times, or you may be removed from the meeting. If you're not a part of the Dhamma class, you're free to turn off your camera. Please don't fidget or play around, as it can disturb others who are praying. The prayer session will take about 1 hour, and please wait for your turn mindfully and respectfully. For those chanting, please chant clearly and slowly so that others can follow along. We would greatly appreciate it if everyone stays respectfully until the end of the meeting. Now, please put your hands together. We'll begin with program paper 1, which is reading the Dhammacakkapavattana Sutta. Remember, if you're chanting the Dhammacakkapavattana Sutta, please wait for your turn. Make sure you have the right page and the correct time ready so we can save time and keep things moving slowly. We believe you'll do great.
Buddha Gamana Gatha Angira Sasa Unaya Tatahi Setaransiyo Wajirawa Virojanti Dinometandu Sisake Nilayo Nilathanama Pito Dadata Lohita Dhamma Mantita Nikamesu Papasara. One more time. Diwa Tapati Kata Diwa Tapati Adicho Wati Mapati Chantima Sanato Katiyo Tapati Jai Tapati Ramano Atta Saba Mahowatim Budo Tapati Tejasa Tatisa Tejasampanam Budam Wandami Satawam Dhammacakkapavattana Sutta. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa. Bhikkhunam panchavaginam isipatana namake migadaya Dhammawaram yam tam nibbana-papakam sahampati namakena mahabrahmena yachito jatu sacham pakasento lokanato adesai nantitam sabadewehi Sapa sampati sadakam Sapa loka hitataya Dhammacakkapavattana
Suttam Ekam Samayam Bhagavaparanasiyam Viharati Isipatana Nigadaya Tatarako Bhagava Panchavakya Bhikkhu Amantasi Dwene Bhikkhave Anta Papachitena nase vitaba katame dwe yajayam kamesu kalika nuyaga hino gama patu janiko anariyo anata samhito yajayam atakila matanuyaga dukkha anariyo anata samhito ete ko bhikkhave upo ante anupagama majjhima patipada Tathagatina abhisambuddha Chakukarani Jnanakarani Upasamaya Abhinyaya Sambodhaya Nibbanaya Samvadati Gatamaja sa bhikkhave Majjhima Patipada Tathagatina abhisambuddha Chakukarani Jnanakarani Upasamaya Abhinyaya Sambodhaya Nibbanaya Samvadati Ayamewa Ariyo Atangiko Mago Seyatidam Samaditi Sama Sankapo Sama Wacha Sama Kamanto Sama Ajiwo Sama Wayamo Sama Sati Sama Samadhi Ayam ko sabikawe Majjhima Patipada Tathagatina abhisambuddha Chakukarani Jnanakarani Upasamaya Abhinyaya Sambodhaya Nibbanaya Samvadati
Idam gopana bhikkhave dukam arya sajam jati dukkha jara dukkha vyati dukkho marana dukkam Apiyehi sampayogo dugo piyehi vipayogo dugo yampi jamna labati tampi dugam sankitena panchupadana ganda dugam
Idam ko para bhikkhave dukkha samudayam arya sajam yayam dana ono bhavika nandi raga sahakata tatra binandini seyatidam kamatana bhavatana Vibhavatana
Idam ko pana bhikkhave dukkha nirodham ariya sacham yotasaye wa tanaya asesa viraga nirodo chago patini sago muti analayo
idam ko bana bhikkhave dukkha nirodha gamini patipada arya sajam ayamewa aryo atangiko mago seyatidam samaditi samasankapo samawaja samakamanto sama ajivo sama vayamo sama sati sama samadhi
Idam dukam arya sajanti. Me bhikkhave bhube ananusudesu dhamesu jakum udapadi jnanam udapadi panya udapadi vija udapadi aloko udapadi Dhamko panidam dukam arya sajam parinyeyanti me bhikkhave bhube ananusudesu dhamesu jakum udapadi jnanam udapadi panya udapadi vija udapadi aloko udapadi Dhamko panidam dukam arya sajam parinyadanti me bhikkhave bhube ananusudesu dhamesu jakum udapadi jnanam udapadi panya udapadi vija udapadi aloko udapadi
Idam dukkha samudayam arya sachanti me bhikkhave bhube ananusudesu dhamesu jakum udapadi jnanam udapadi panya udapadi vija udapadi aloko udapadi dhamko panitam dukkha samudayam arya sacam Pahadapanti me bhikkhave bhube ananusudesu dhamesu jakum udapadi jnanam udapadi panya udapadi vija udapadi aloko udapadi Dhamko panitam dukkha samudayam arya sacam pahinanti me bhikkhave bhube ananusudesu dhamesu jakum udapadi jnanam udapadi panya udapadi vija udapadi aloko udapadi idam dukkha nirodham arya sajanti me bhikkhave bhube ananusudesu dhamesu jakum udapadi jnanam udapadi panya udapadi vija udapadi aloko udapadi Dhammacakkapavattana Sutta Chanting Arya Sajam Sachikadabanti Me Bhikkhave Pupe Ananusutesu Dhammesu Jagum Udapati Jnanam Udapati Panya Udapati Vija Udapati Alaka Udapati Dhammacakkapavattana Sutta Chanting Arya Sajam Sachikadanti Me Bhikkhave Pupe Ananusutesu Dhammesu Jagum Udapati Jnanam Udapati Panya Udapati Vija Udapati Alaka Udapati
Idam dukkha nirodha gamini patipada Arya Sajanti Me bhikkhave Ube ananusutesu Dhamesu Jagum Udapati Jnanam Udapati Panya Udapati Vija Udapati Aloko Udapati
Dhammacakkapavattana Sutta Chanting Patipada Arya Sajam Bhavetapanti Me Bhikkhave Pupe Ananusutesu Dhammesu Chakum Urapati Jnanam Urapati Panya Urapati Vija Urapati Aloko Urapati
Dhammacakkapavattana Dukkha Nirodha Gamini Patipada Arya Sajam Bhavitanti Me Bhikkhave Bhube Ananusutesu Dhammesu Shakum Udapadi Jnanam Udapadi Panya Udapadi Vija Udapadi Aloko Udapadi
Yawaki Wanja Me Bhikkhave Imesu Jatusu Arya Sajesu Elam Tiparivatam Dwadasakaram Yata Bhutam Jnana Dasanam Na Suvisudam Ahosi Newatawaham Bhikkhave Sa Devake Loke Sa Marake Sa Brahmake Sa Samana Brahmaniya Pachaya Sa Deva Manusaya Anuttaram Sama Sambodhim Abhisambudoti Pajanyasim
Yatocha kome bhikkhave imesu jatusu ariyasajesu evam tiparivutam dwadasakaram yatabhutam jnanadasanam suisudam ahosi ataham bhikkhave sa devake loke sa marake sa brahmake sa samana brahmaniya pajaya sa deva manusaya Anuttaram Sammasambodim Abhisambhutoti Pachanyasem.
Jnanam cha paname dasanam udapadi akupame vimuti ayamanti majadi nati dani punabhavoti idamavocha bhagava adamana panchavagiya bhikkhu bhagavato bhasitam abhinandunti.
Ima samincha pana uveya karanasmim banyamane ayasmato kondanyasa virajam vitamalam Dhammacakkapavattana Urapari Yam Kinchi Samudaya Dhammam Sarvam Tam Nirodha Dhammanti.
Bhavati Teja Pana Bhagavata Dhammacakke Pumadeva Satamanusa Vesam Etam Bhagavata Varanasiyam Isipatane Nigadaye Anuttaram Dhammacakkam Bhavatitam Apativatiyam Samanena va Brahmanena va Devena va Marena va Brahmuna va Kenachi va Lokasamenti.
Umanam Devanam Sadam Sutvam Jatu Maharajika Devam Sadam Manusawesam Idam Bhagavatam Varanasiyam Isipatane Migadaye Anuttaram Dhammacakkam Bhavatitam Apativatiyam Samanena va Brahmanena va Devena va Narena va Brahmuna va Kenachi va Lokasamenti.
Jatu Maharajikanam Devanam Sadam Sutva Tauntim Sadewa Sadam Manusa Vesum Edam Bhagavata Varanasiyam Isipatane Migadaye Anuttaram Dhammacakkam Bhavatitam Apativatiyam Samanena va Brahmanena va Devena va Marena va Brahmuna va Kenachi va Lokasamenti.
Davadim sanam devanam sadam sudva yamadeva sadam manusa vesum etam bhagavata varanasiyam isipatane migadaye Anuttaram Dhammacakkam Bhavatitam Apativatiyam Samanena va Brahmanena va Devena va Marena va Brahmuna va kenachiwa loka samenti.
Yamanam Devanam Sadam Sutwa Tusita Deva Sada Manusa Vesum Etam Bhagavata Varanasiyam Isipatane Vigataye Anuttaram Dhammacakam Pavatitam Apativatiyam Samanena va Brahmanena va Devena va Marena va Brahmana va Kenachiva Lokasminti Tusitanam Devanam Satam Sitava Nimanarati Deva Satam Nisavasam Etam Bhagavata Paramasyam Isipatana Migadaya Nitaram Dhammacakam Pavatitam Pativatiyam Samanena va Brahmanena va Devana va Marena va Brahmana va Kenachiva Lokasaminti
Nimanarathinam devanam sadam sutva paranimita vasavati deva sada manusavesum etam bhagavata varanasiyam isipatane migadaye anuttaram dhammacakam pavatitam apativatiyam samanena va brahmanena va devena va marena va brahmana va kenachiva lokasaminti.
Paranim Mitawasawatinam Devanam Sadam Sutwa Brahmakayika Dewa Satamanusa Vesum Etam Bhagavata Varanasiyam Isipatane Migadaye Anuttaram Dhammacakam Pavatitam Apativatiyam Samanena va Brahmanena va Devena va Marena va Brahmana va Kenachiva Lokasaminti.
Itiha Dena Ganena Dena Layena Dena Muhudena Yawa Brahmaloka Sado Abogachi Ayanja Dasasahasi Lokadatu Samkampi Sampakampi Sampaweti Apamanaja Ulara Opaso Loke Paturahosi Atikama Dewanandewa Nubawanti.
Riley.
Atako Bhagawa Imam Udanam Udanesi Anyasi Watapo Contaño Anyasi Watapo Contaño Di Iti Hidan Ayasamato Contanyasa Anyasi Contaño Dwewa Naman Ahositi
Atako ayasma anyasi kondanyo dita damo bata damo widita damo pariyo gala damo dina wichikicho wigata katam kato wesara japato apara pachayo sadhu sasane Bhagavantam etadawocha labeya hambande Bhagavato santike papajam labeyam upasampadanti.
Ehi bhikkhudi bhagava avoja swagato dhammo jara brahmacharya samadhukasa antagiriyayati sawa dasa ayasamato upasampada ahoti Dhammacakkapavattana Sutta Chanting Sadhu Sadhu Sadhu. We will now be moving on to program number 2, which is question and answer on the Dhammacakkapavattana Sutta. First by Deepa.
Hello, Dhamma class. My name is Deepa Ong, and my Buddhist name is Sija Bala, which means lucky keeper. Today, I'll be talking about question and answers 1 through 5, and footnote 1 through 5 of Dhammacakkapavattana Sutta. And the people who I'm asking are AJ, Benji, Victoria, Shinki, Akri, and William. So AJ, what is the Dhammacakkapavattana Sutta?
It is the first teaching given by the Buddha 3 months after he became enlightened.
That is correct. Benji, where did the Buddha preach the sutta?
The Buddha preached the Dhammacakkapavattana Sutta in the deer park at Isapatana, near the city of Varanasi. Today, you can see the stupas and the monuments at the historic site.
That's correct. And Victoria, who did the Buddha preach Dhammacakkapavattana Sutta to?
He taught it to 5 monks called Vakya, 5 Vakya group. Together it means a group of 5 monks.
That's correct. AJ, what does Dhammacakkapavattana mean?
It means setting the wheel of Dhamma in motion. It is when the Buddha first taught people the middle path, explaining ways to stop suffering and find happiness. It's like first giving the world a guide to be peaceful and good.
That's correct. Now I'll be asking the footnote. Shinki, what balanced way did Gautama decide to follow?
The middle path.
That is correct. Ekari, what is the middle path like?
It is like the first giving the world a guide to be peaceful and good.
That is correct. William, what are the name of the 5 monks of Panchavaggiya?
They were Kondanya, Badiya, Bappa, Mahanama, and Asaji.
That's correct.
Hello, Dhamma class. My name is Tiffany. My Buddhist name is Santa Bali, which means peacekeeper. Today I will be asking questions from 6 to 9 and footnote questions So my first question is to Nyantong, and why is the Dhammacakkapavattana Sutta important?
It is the first sermon that the Buddha preached, and it explains the middle path and Four Noble Truths, which are heart of Buddhism.
Yes, that is correct. My next question is to Linlin, and what is the middle path, which is Majjhima Patipada in Pali?
It's a way of living that helps you find balance. It means not being too focused on having fun or always wanting things, and not being too hard on yourself or causing yourself too much pain. Following the middle path can help you learn more, feel peaceful, and find true happiness.
Yes, that's correct. Amy, what are the two extremes?
One extreme is the Kama Sukha Lika Nuyoko, which means living only for fun and pleasure. The other extreme is Atta Kilamata Nuyoga, which means hurting or punishing yourself too much. The first extreme slows down spiritual growth, while the second weakens your mind and ability to think clearly.
Yes, that's correct. And Nyantong, why should we avoid these two extremes?
One extreme, because they don't lead to true happiness or understanding. Too much pleasure slows down our spiritual progress, and too much suffering makes it harder to think clearly.
Yes, that's correct. Now I will be asking my footnote question. So, Kingshi, why is avoiding the two extremes important?
Too much pleasure slows down spiritual progress, and too much suffering makes it hard to think clearly.
Yes, that's correct. My next question is to Onglin Tay, and why is the middle path important?
It can help you learn more, feel peaceful, and find true happiness.
Yes, that's correct. My last question is to Mary, and what will happen if you follow the first extreme?
The first extreme will slow down your spiritual growth.
Yes, that's correct. Thank you for listening.
Hello everyone, my name is Simya Pei. My Buddhist name is Chitta Pali, which means regarder of mind. So my first question is, what are the Four Noble Truths? And I'll be asking Alexander.
The Four Noble Truths are 1. Dukkha, 2. Samudaya, 3. Nirodha, and 4. Magga. They are the Buddhist teachings about life and how to end suffering.
That is correct, thank you. My second question is to Shintan, and it is, what does the first noble truth mean?
The first noble truth is that life has suffering, dukkha, which means suffering does exist.
That is correct, thank you. And then my third question is to Cynthia, and it is, can you explain more about what suffering is?
Suffering means things like sadness, pain, getting sick, or losing things we love. Buddha talked about 8 kinds of suffering in this sutta. Some examples are being born is suffering, getting older is suffering, and so on.
That is correct, thank you. My fourth question is to Alexander. What is the second noble truth?
The second noble truth is that suffering has a cause, which is craving.
That is correct. And then my last question is to Shintan. Can you explain more about what the cause of suffering is?
Suffering is caused by 3 kinds of cravings. 1. Kama Tana. This is when you really want fun things like food, toys, or anything that makes you happy right now. 2. Bhava Tana. This is when you want to live forever or want to become something special like a famous person or a superhero. 3. Vibhava Tana. This is when you want to disappear and not exist anymore, like wanting to stop being around or feeling like you don't matter.
Now I'll be asking the footnotes questions. So Meithun, what does suffering mean?
Absent.
Okay, so suffering means things like sadness, pain, getting sick, or losing things we love. And then Hazel, what is Vibhavatana?
It is when you want to disappear and not exist anymore.
That is correct, thank you. And then Grace, What are the three kinds of cravings?
Kamatana, Bhavatana, Vibhavadana.
That is correct, thank you. And then last but not least, Hazel, how can you end suffering?
You can end suffering by letting go of cravings and finding peace.
That is correct, and that is all for today.
Hello Dhamma class, my name is Suezen and my Buddhist name is Wansapali, and today I'll be asking questions 15 through 20 and footnote questions. My first question to Juju is, what is the third noble truth?
Absent.
Tenzin, what is the third noble truth?
The third noble truth is that we can end suffering, which is nibbana.
That is correct. And Andrew, how can we end suffering?
We can end suffering by letting go of our cravings. This means stopping the desire for things we want or think we need. When we stop craving, the suffering fades away. It's about giving up these desires, no longer depending on them, and finding freedom from them.
Yes, that is correct. And Tenzin, what is the fourth noble truth?
The fourth noble truth is the path to end suffering, called the Noble Eightfold Path.
That is correct. And Andrew, what is the Noble Eightfold Path?
It is a guide to live a good and wise life. And there are 8 parts. 1. Right view. 2. Right thought. 3. Right speech. 4. Right action. 5. Right livelihood. 6. Right effort. 7. Right mindfulness. And 8. Right concentration.
That is correct. And Tenzin, please explain these 8 parts in brief.
Right view, understanding the Four Noble Truths. Right thought, thinking kindly and not being greedy or angry. Right speech, speaking truthfully and kindly. Right action, doing good deeds and not harming others. Right livelihood, having a job that doesn't hurt others. Right effort, trying to do good and avoid bad things. Right mindfulness, being aware of your thoughts, feelings, and actions. Right concentration, focusing your mind through meditation.
Yes, that is correct. And lastly, Andrew, please divide these 8 parts into 3 groups.
The first group is called Sila, which has 3 parts. Right speech, right action, and right livelihood. The second group is called Samadhi, which includes right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. The third group is called Panya, which has 2 parts. Right view and right thought.
That is correct. Now we'll be moving on to the footnote questions. Via Bala, how can you achieve right mindfulness?
By being aware of your thoughts, feelings, and actions.
That is correct. And Gina Bala, what is a good way to concentrate?
A good way to concentrate is by focusing your mind through meditation.
That is correct. Chloe Chang, what is the Noble Eightfold Path?
It is the path to end suffering.
Yes, that is correct. And lastly, Bia Bala, please list 3 groups of 8 parts.
Sila, Samadhi, and Panya.
That is correct. That is all, and thank you for listening.
Hello, Dhamma class. My name is Himla, and my Buddhist name is Sukhabla, which means power of happiness. So today I'll be asking questions 21 and 22. So the first question is for Jima Jo, and it is, what are the 3 phases Tipri Wata in the Dhammacakkapavattana Sutta?
In this sutta, the Buddha explains the Four Noble Truths and how he understood them in a complete way. For kids, here's a simple breakdown. 3 phases, which is Thipiyata in Pali. Each truth has 3 steps or phases that the Buddha realized. 1. Knowing the truth, Satcha, understanding what it is. 2. Doing what needs to be done, Kicha, practicing or working with the truth. 3. Finishing the task, Kata, completing the understanding and no longer needing to work on it.
That is correct. And Hank Jo, how do the 3 phases work with the Four Noble Truths,
to be 12 aspects, which is Dwadasakara in Bali.
There are 4 truths, and each truth has 3 phases, so that makes 12 phases in total. These 12 phases are called Dwara Sakara. This means that there are 3 phases for each of the 4 truths. 3 phases for Dukkha Satcha, the truth of suffering. 3 phases for Samudaya Satcha, the truth of the cause of suffering. 3 phases for Nirodha Satcha, the truth of the end of suffering. And 3 phases for Magga Satcha, the truth of the path to the end of suffering. So in total, there are 12 phases.
That is correct. And now I'll be moving on to footnote questions. So, Mason D, what does knowing the truth or satcha mean?
It means the Buddha understands what the truth is.
That is correct. So, Ninye Dant, what does doing what needs to be done, Gicha, mean?
It means that the Buddha knows exactly how to act based on what he knows is true.
That is correct. And lastly, Gama Bali, what does finishing the task, Gata, mean?
It means you've completed the whole process correctly and with attention to detail.
That is correct. And those are all the questions that I have.
Hello, Dhamma class. My name is Thazinjo, and my Buddhist name is Jana Bali, which means part of concentration. Today, I'll be asking questions 23 through 27 and the footnote questions as well. So, Rebecca, please explain the 3 aspects for dukkha satcha, the truth of suffering.
1. Knowing suffering exists, Satcha. 2. Knowing you need to understand suffering, Kicha. And 3. Knowing suffering is fully understood, Gata.
That is correct. So, Marinda, please explain the 3 aspects for samudaya satcha, the truth of the cause of suffering.
1. Knowing craving causes suffering, Satcha. 2. Knowing you need to let go of craving, Gicha. And 3. Knowing craving has been let go of, Gata.
That is correct. So, Andrew, please explain the 3 aspects for Nirodha Satcha, the truth of the end of suffering.
1. Knowing peace and freedom from suffering is possible, Satcha. 2. Knowing you need to realize this peace, Gicha. And 3. Knowing peace and freedom have been realized, Gata.
That is correct. And Rebecca, please explain the 3 aspects for Magga Satcha, the truth of the path to the end of suffering.
1. Knowing the path that leads to freedom, Satcha. 2. Knowing you need to follow this path, Kicha. And 3. Knowing the path has been followed and completed, Gata.
That is correct. And Marinda, please explain the 12 aspects of Dwada Sakara in simple words.
The Buddha learned and practiced the Four Noble Truths in a very careful way. He understood 1. What the truth is, 2. What he needed to do about it, 3. That he had finished learning and practicing it. This is why he said his understanding was thoroughly purified. He saw everything clearly.
That is correct. And now we will be moving on to the footnote questions. So, Benji, what does knowing suffering exists, Satcha, mean? The answer was, it means that it is true that everyone experiences difficult or painful times in life. So, Nien Tuong, what does knowing you need to understand suffering, Gicha, mean?
It means that the noble truth of suffering is to be fully understood.
That is correct. And Hazel, what does knowing suffering is fully understood, Gata, mean?
It means that this noble truth of suffering has been fully understood.
That is correct. That is all, and thank you for listening.
My name is Deepa Ong. I'm a Buddhist name is Sija Bala, and today I'll be talking about question and answers of 28 through 31 and the footnotes. So Riley, after the Buddha completely understood the Four Noble Truths with all their details and deeper meaning, What did he say?
The Buddha said that he had gained the greatest and most complete wisdom in the world, which includes both gods or devas and humans. This means he became fully enlightened or reached Buddhahood.
That's correct. And Alexander, what did the Buddha continue to say to the 5 monks, Panchavagyas?
He continued by saying, I have gained clear understanding. My mind is completely free, and I will never be born again. This is my last life.
That is correct. And Sarah, while this sutta was being delivered, which of the 5 monks became enlightened?
The Venerable Kondanya, who was the oldest, gained the clear, untainted vision of the Dhamma. Whatever is subject to arising is also subject to cessation.
That is correct. And Riley, what did the elder monks who were part of the first Buddhist council write down about the sutta?
They recorded that the Blessed One had started teaching the Dhamma, and all the devas or gods in the 6 heavenly realms and the Brahmas or beings from the highest realms exclaimed, in the deer park near Varanasi, the Buddha has begun sharing his amazing teachings, which are unlike anything anyone has ever taught before.
That is correct. Now I'll be asking the footnotes. Grace, who is the oldest one of the 5 monks?
Kondanya.
That's correct. Valerie, the Buddha called himself the fully enlightened one after he completely understood what?
He called himself a Buddha only after he completely understood the Four Noble Truths. He did this through 3 main steps and 12 important lessons.
That's correct. And Sue Ong, how did Venerable Gordanya get the clear understanding of the Dhamma?
He realized that everything that is born or created must almost come to an end.
That is correct. Thank you for listening.
Hello, Dhamma class. My name is Shinta. My Buddhist name is Moka Bali, which means freedom keeper. So I'll be asking Lin first. Did the elder monks who were part of the first Buddhist council write anything down about the sutta?
They wrote that at the very moment the sound of the cry spread all the way to the highest heavens, the entire world, all 10,000 universes, shook and trembled. A bright, beautiful light filled the sky, shining even brighter than the glory of the gods.
That's correct. AJ, why did Venerable Kondanya get the name Anyasi Kondanya, which means Kondanya, who has understood?
That's why the Buddha says something special about the Venerable Kodanya Anyasi Watabo Kodanyo, meaning Kodanya has understood.
That's correct. Hima, how did Kondanya become a bhikkhu?
The Buddha said to Kondanya, Ehi Bhikkhu, which means come monk. With these simple words, Kondanya became the very first monk, Bhikkhu, in the Buddha Sangha, or community of monks.
That's correct. Lin, why is Kondanya important?
He became the first monk to follow the Buddha's path.
That's correct. AJ, what can we learn from the sutta?
We can learn how to live wisely, kindly, and peacefully.
That's correct. Thank you. Now I'll be asking my footnote questions. And my first question is to Kishing. How many universities shook and trembled after delivering the sutta?
10,000 universes.
That's correct. Alente, what is the other name for Venerable Kondanya?
Anasi Kudana.
That's correct. And Akiri, what did the Buddha say to Kondanya?
He said, Ehi Bhikkhu, which means come monk.
That's correct. Thank you, everyone, and that's all.
Now we are going to move on to part 2. To all of the little Damar kids, thank you for listening nicely and waiting your turn patiently. We really appreciate it. I will be your guide for this part. In this section, our little Damar kids will be chanting some important daily prayers. These include Puja, Ogatha, Disarana Nawanga Sila, Buddha Guna, Dhamma Guna, Sangha Guna, and finally we will also chant Aditana, Maranasati, Patana, and Patidana. In this part, Hina Aung will be the substitute student. So Hina Aung, please have your program paper and the prayer book 1 and the correct pages ready to go. Little Dhamma kids who are responsible for the chanting, please make sure to do it with respect and care. Now, please put your hands together. We'll begin with puja, the offerings. We believe you'll do great.
Nasarapa Ditana Dipa Na Dhammadam Sina Diloka Dipam Sampuram Pujayami Nudam Vana Ganda Gunopedam Etam Kusuma Santatim Pujayami Munindasa Siripada Sarorupe.
Maylin, it is your turn. Oh. Hina Aung, could you please substitute for Maylin? Book 1, page 11.
Adiwasitu no bante Paniyam parikapitam Anukampam upadaya Patiganatu utama Adiwasitu no bante Bojanam parikapitam Anukampam upadaya Patiganatu utama. Valentine.
Ogata, 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 Kayage, Wazige, Manage, Tepatota, Candito, Apiedogo, Peabazeje, Atona, Patama, Tutia, Tatia, Najing, Dunjimia Ong, Pia Irana, Dia Irana, Danka Irana, Yediame, Tumba Dogo, Ayote, Eleamia, Lashoboe, Shikobozo, Bumemesha, Kentua I Shampia, Kento Yado, Ajo Aja, Apeleba, Kendumba, Yapeshapa, Yadumonaba, Vipadidia Leba, Piatana Diana Badoma, Akakating, Kelo Nindi Pewe, Matia, Putia, Nibendia Domago, Yabalo Ishapia, Valentine. Ahem Bande Discerni Nasaha Navanga Sampanagatam Uposatha Silam Dhammam Yatami Anugaham Gatawa Silam Deta Me Bande Tutyami Ahem Bande Discerni Nasaha Navanga Sampanagatam Uposatha Silam Dhammam Yatami Anugaham Gatawa Silam Deta Me Bande Tatyambi Aham Bande Tisane Nasaha Navanga Sampanagatam Uposatha Silam Dhammam Yatami Anugaham Gatawa Silam Deta Me Bande Ama Bande Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Sama Sambuddhassa Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Sama Sambuddhassa Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Sama Sambuddhassa Buddham Saranam Gacchami Dhammam
Saranam Gacchami. Sangam Saranam Gacchami. Dutiyambi Buddham Saranam Gacchami. Dutiyambi Dhammam Saranam Gacchami. Dutiyambi Sangam Saranam Gacchami. Tatiyambi Buddham Saranam Gacchami. Tatiyambi Dhammam Saranam Gacchami. Tatiyambi Sangam Saranam Gacchami. Ama Bande. Panatipata Varamani Sikhapadam Samadhiyami. Adanadana Varamani Sikhapadam Samadhiyami. Abramacharya Varamani Sikhapadam Samadhiyami. Musawada Varamani Sikhapadam Samadhiyami. Suramaraya Majapamada Dana Varamani Sikhapadam Samadhiyami. Vikala Bojana Varamani Sikhapadam Samadhiyami. Nachagita Wadita Visuka Dasana Malaganda Vilepana Tadrana Bandana Vibhusandana Varamani Sikhapadam Samadhiyami. Ujjasayana Mahasayana Varamani Sikhapadam Samadhiyami. Metta Sahagatena Cetasa Sahapana Buddhesu Paritva Viharanam Samadhiyami. Amabante by one time.
Nyambonta, it is your turn.
Itipiso Bhagava Araham Sama Sambuddho Vichacharana Sampeno Sugato Lokavidu Anuttaro Parisa Dhamma Sarati Satadeva Manusanem Bodho Bhagava. Swagato Bhagavata Dhamma Sanditiko Akaliko Ahipasiko Opaneyiko Pachatam Vetitabo Menyuhi. Supatipano Bhagavato Savaka Sangho Ujupatipano Bhagavato Savaka Sangho Nyayapatipano Bhagavato Savaka Sangho Samichipatipano Bhagavato Savaka Sangho Yaditam Chatari Purisa Yukani Atha Purisa Ukala Esa Bhagavato Savaka Sangho Ahuneyo Bahuneyo Nakhineyo Anjalikaraniyo Anutteram Punyakitam Logasa Bandhain.
Thing, it is your turn.
Dukkha patacha nidoka, paya patacha nibaya, sokha patacha nizoka, hantu sababi panino.
William, it is your turn. Hina, could you please substitute for William on page 10, book 1?
Nahi na wirani samantita kuda chanam awirina cha samanti esadamo sanantano.
Sabha pasa agaranam usala supa sampada sachita varya dhapanam idam buddhanam sasanam.
Mana me duam, chirita me aduam, ita me punyam, nibbanasa pachayo hotu, imam punya bhagam, sabhasatanam bhajema, sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Bow one time.
Buddha, Sazana, Chiram, Dedutu. May the Buddha's teachings last long. Buddha, Sazanam, Chiram, Dedutu. May the Buddha's teachings last long. Buddha, Sazanam, Chiram, Dedutu. May the Buddha's teachings last long. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you to everyone who came today.
Je te barre pompon. Et tout dans